what advice, unconventional, would you give to a younger Namina?
I would say the first thing is get therapy. I am so serious, get therapy. Because the thing about having an unconventional career that like people don't understand or whatever is that half the time what you are battling is like your own fear of like, am I making the right choice? Am I doing this? It's that existential, like living in an existential crisis is no fun, you know. And I think if I had gotten therapy earlier, um I would have had better tools with which to go through the hustle that I went through. So I would have told myself, get therapy at Spelman, get therapy at USC, get therapy when you have it for free. Just get therapy because it's so important, because when you are banging against that wall, it is so difficult to do it alone. And you really need somebody who is sort of impartial to help you. So get therapy, get therapy, get therapy.
I agree with that thoroughly. Like, I wish I had gotten therapy 4 years ago. When I was in my storm, unfortunately, I really couldn't afford it. I had friends being like, you need to make a way. And I'm like, literally, you see this mortgage, like, there's no way. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have the extra 140 bucks. But
I
I
mean
say
that,
everybody, one time in your life, it's life changing. It truly is.
and
Okay,
that's
wait, I
the
have a
thing that,
question. Oh, go on. I'll ask
oh,
the
and
question
that's the
after you.
thing that I didn't realize is like there's like typically in every city, especially if it's a big city, there's like free resources that you can use where you can find therapists who are like, you know, in their last year of their degree or whatever. But it's so important, man, because like if I just think it would have been, my journey would have been so much easier if I had somebody to bounce off of that was a neutral party, because like all the parties in my life were either go to law school or stay the course, but there was no middle ground, and sometimes you need a middle person.
You really do. And I think we also give context to when we graduated, which was during the recession.
Yes.
But it was also like social media was like very niche and very new. It was more so, you keep up with friends. No one shared politics. It's a very, very different time.
Yeah.
um, but you also didn't see, like, for example, Issa Rae was just starting out, and also had similar barriers. And through YouTube and things, was able to get around those gatekeepers who told her Black people aren't like this. And there's nothing more infuriating as a Black person to be told by white people what Black people are like. So it's just infuriating. But yes, the graduating in the recession in
I see you,
2008,
Mel.
2009 was a haze. Like, I don't wish it upon my worst enemy. Like, I still
No.
like, I need an extra job. I can never have enough money in my bank account because I'm just terrified of that happening again. Like, I'm like, my grandma lived during the what's it called, the Depression, and she hoarded ketchup and things like that because she's like, you'll never know when you're not gonna have ketchup. I feel like I'm like that too. Like, you never know when you need an extra job because things can just blow up. But we did have a question. Someone asked, and I'm sorry I didn't, you scrolled by so I couldn't see who exactly you are, but someone wanted to know, what do your parents think of your journey now?
Now, sadly, my father passed. He was very proud because I think, you know, he was meant to be a writer. But like my dad was 87 when he passed, so he was like older. And there was just no avenue for that as a man of his generation. He was African or whatever. So he went the political route. My mother now is very proud. She's like, oh, Namina, my author. But back then, she was like, like nobody got it. Everyone was just like, you're weird, like you need to figure out your life and go get a job, go to law school, get a job, get married, and that is the path. There was like no sort of, so now she's all like, oh my gosh, like the author. But I think that it's one of those things where she's sort of still getting used to it, because she's just like, are you sure you don't need another job? And I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Have you seen on the HBO special from Yvonne Orji? It's like, look,
Yes.
Mama, I made it. I
Yes.
feel like that is you. For you guys who don't know,
Yes.
it's a hilarious, if you know Insecure, the person who plays Molly on Insecure, I think she was supposed to be a doctor or something. She's from Nigeria, Nigerian American. And so similar sort of nominals of you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever. And so now that she's on HBO, her mom is like, my daughter's on HBO. Oh, you don't get that? It's because you don't have enough money to have HBO. Like my daughter's on a premium channel. So now she's this, but up until that point, if I think she joked, like if she cut herself, her mom's like, see, if you had went to medical school, you could stitch yourself back up. So
And no, and that is so true. Like that is her story. Like I feel like her story and mine are just like sort of the quintessential like African child stories. Like when I was going through my struggle, like I essentially like distanced myself from my family for like what? I think it was like at least 5 years. I only marginally spoke to them because I knew that like every time I spoke to them, it was like, you need to figure out your shit. What are you doing with your life? You're making horrible decisions and that are gonna like just tank your life for the rest of your life. And I was just like, I don't see it that way. And in order for me to continue, I do need to sort of do a fade out. And that's the African child thing, was like, we don't overtly rebel, we just like run away, and then just don't really call people for like 5 years until we get our shit together.
I understand the times where I have gone ghost on people. I'm trying to get my stuff together and I need to be in a place where I'm committed to what I'm doing before I bring others in. Because as an entrepreneur, I do PR, social media marketing. The amount of times people ask me, do you just want to get a regular job? It's a lot. And so I feel like entrepreneurship now that it's more in the media and more in social media, people get it more than when I started years ago. But I had family members like, oh, can't you just apply for like a regular job? And I'm like, you don't understand the vision. And then part of it, I didn't understand the vision. So until I understand the vision, I kind of had to go ghost. So you have a few questions. So first one is from my sister, Alicia. So she would like to be a writer as well. I'm 100% sure it's a different kind of writer, knowing her. However, writing she wants to do. And so she asked, did you have any like writing accountability groups, or how did you stay committed to your writing process?
I think one of the biggest things about writing is that you have to get into the habit of discipline. Like I write almost every single day, right? And in the beginning, it was a struggle because like when I started, I was in undergrad, so I'm doing all like my homework and then writing as well. But really, it's you get into the process of, if I write this amount of pages every single day, I get there. And you have to sort of like get over that hurdle. At first, I've never been really a group person. I had a writing group once upon a time. But that being said, writing is not solitary. You need partners, critique partners. So I have different critique partners. And at every stage of the writing game, you need to talk to your partner. So like when I have an idea, the first thing I do is I call my critique partners. I pitch to them. I'm like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? We work over, is it good? Is it not? And then that's one critique partner. And then I start writing. And typically, I really need help with like the first 50 pages and like trying to make sure that my work is what I want it to be. So like I have like maybe 2 critique partners I pitch to, but then I have like 4 or 5 or 6 critique partners that I send out the first chapters to. And these critique partners can be literally anybody, because I'm like, oh, you're a writer, or you at least understand writing. Let me send this to you. Let me see what you think. I even like hunt down my nieces and nephews because, I write young adult and middle grade. So I'll be like, oh, you're 14. You are the perfect age. Read this and tell me what you think. So like critique partners don't essentially have to be professional. They just have to be somebody who enjoys reading, right? But in order for you to get to the next level, what you do need are critique partners who are better than you, at least in some way, right? Because that's the thing about writing and about anything in life. You need somebody to scale up to. Like one of my critique partners, my main critique partner, her name is PJ Schweitzer. she's amazing, and she's amazing at emotion, which I'm not so great at. So I hold her as sort of like this is where I want to get, and then I scale up to her, right? So the thing about partners is that find people who are as good as or better than you and then scale up to them. And writing is not solitary. Yes, you like have people who read your stuff at every point of the way, but that internal discipline of writing every single day is something you have to develop yourself. And also, one last thing is know when your writing hours are. If I'm writing a book, my writing hours are through necessity. It was necessity at first, but now it's become habit. Like the best writing that I do is like anywhere from 2 a.m. to like 6 a.m. Those are my best writing hours for books, because I know nobody's going to disturb me. If I'm working on a script, it's 4 p.m. to like 10 p.m.